Saturday, January 30th, 2021, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So we're not going to look at GameStop or all the unfair rules that have been brought upon retail investors, including me today. We're going to look into that tomorrow during the live stream, 9 p.m. London on Sunday. That's when I do my weekly live stream. I have a lot to talk about tomorrow as it pertains to the markets and what they've done to retail investors. But today, I promised last Wednesday that I would do a part 2 of the origin of the dollar. So this is part 2 here. I said I'd just continue from where I left off in part 1. So that's what I'm going to do here. It says on page 13 now, coinage of the states. It says the Article of Confederation adopted March 1st, 1781 provided that Congress should have the sole right to regulate the alloy and value of coins struck by its own authority or by that of the respective states. Each state, therefore, had the right to coin money, with Congress serving as the regulatory authority. New Hampshire was the first state to consider coinage, but few, if any, of its copper coins were placed in circulation. The only specimens known bear the date 1776. In the period from 1785 to 1788, Vermont, Connecticut, and New Jersey granted coining privileges to companies and individuals. Massachusetts erected its own mint in Boston, where copper coins were produced in 1787 and 1788. A number of interesting types and varieties of these state issues, most of which were struck in fairly large quantities, are still extant and form the basis for many present-day collections and museum exhibits of early American coins. So now the beginning of United States coinage. Throughout the years from 1620 to 1776, colonists were forced to rely on numerous European coins and denominations that had to be converted to some common value to facilitate transactions. Further compounding this mathematical obstacle was the variation of values from one colony to another. Merchants became accustomed to using the Spanish dollar and its fractional parts, the real, the medio, half real, and other similar denominations. In time, those coins became more familiar to them than the Old English coins, which were always scarce. It was only natural, therefore, that when a national coinage was under consideration, a dollar-sized coin was the first choice. So here we go. Where's that dollar-sized coin? So you'll find that the Spanish mill dollar is pretty much the same size. And there are other coins as well from other countries that are very similar size. The Austrian thaler as well. Contracts, currency statutes, and prices in the colonies were usually quoted in English, pounds, or Spanish dollars. In 1767, Maryland took the lead and produced paper money that was denominated in dollars. Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Virginia soon passed laws making Spanish coins legal tender. The first issue of continental paper money, May 10th, 1775, offers further evidence that the dollar was to be the basic American monetary unit, for it provided that the notes should be payable in Spanish mill dollars or the value thereof in gold and silver. So these are the old continentals that became worthless, of course, the continental paper money. But it did help, I guess, finance the war. The assistant financier of the Confederation, Governor Morris, proposed a decimal coinage ratio designed to make conversion of various foreign currencies easier to compute in terms of a dollar size unit. His plan was incorporated into a report presented by Robert Morris, Superintendent of Finance, to the Congress, January 15th, 1782. Plans for a mint were advanced, and the uniform national currency To relieve the confused money conditions was outlined. Morris's unit, 1/1400th of a dollar, was calculated to agree without a fraction with all the different valuations of the Spanish mill dollar in the various states. Although a government mint was approved on January 21st, 1782, no immediate action was taken. During 1784, Thomas Jefferson, then a member of the House of Representatives, brought in a report concerning the plan and expressed disagreement with Morris's complicated money unit. He advocated a simple dollar unit because he believed the dollar was already as familiar and convenient a unit of value as the British pound. He favored the decimal system and remarked, this is Jefferson, the most easy ratio of multiplication and division is that of 10. George Washington referred to it as a measure which, in my opinion, has become indispensably necessary. The Grand Committee in May 1785 recommended a gold $5 piece, a dollar of silver with fractional coins of the same metal in denominations of half, quarter, tenth, and 20th parts of a dollar. So they did have a half dime. I think the half dime was discontinued sometime in the 1850s, I think. I'm not too sure. It's in here. And copper pieces valued at 1/100th of a dollar and 1/200th of a dollar. So a penny and a half penny. In 1783, Robert Morris submitted a series of pattern pieces in silver that were designed by Benjamin Dudley to carry out the decimal idea of United States money. These are known as the Nova Constellatio patterns and consist of the mark, or 1,000 units, the quint, or 500 units, the bit, or 100 units, and a copper 5. The unit was to be a quarter grain of silver. This was not the first attempt at a dollar coin, for the continental currency piece of dollar size dated 1776 had been struck in such metals as brass, pewter, and silver. The reason is unknown for making a very limited number of pieces of silver. The more common pewter pieces were most likely intended as a substitute for the paper dollar and saw considerable circulation. We're getting there to 1792. I know you're probably waiting, but I think it's important to go through the whole thing to understand the origin of the dollar. Congress gave formal approval to the basic dollar unit and decimal coinage ratio in its resolution of July 1785, but other more pressing patterns delayed further action. Not until the Constitutional Convention of 1787 had placed the country on firm ground and the new nation had elected George Washington president did the Congress again turn attention to the subject of currency, a mint, and a coinage system. The Massachusetts cents and half cents struck in 1787 and 1788 were the first official coins in the United States to bear stated values in terms of decimal parts of the dollar unit. The cent represented 100th part of a Spanish dollar. The first federally authorized coin for which we have extensive documentation was the Fugio copper, sometimes called the Franklin cent, as Benjamin Franklin is believed to have supplied the design and composed the legends. This piece, similar in design to the continental currency of 1776, was privately struck in 1787 by contract with the government. Here's a guy we've heard of before. Ephraim Brasher was engaged to regulate foreign gold coins and certain silver issues. This was done by clipping or plugging coins in circulation to bring them up or down to the standards published in 1784 by the Bank of New York. Appropriate hallmarks were then added for verification. Various goldsmiths who participated in this function included Standish Barry, John Berger, Thomas Underhill, and others. Bradshart used a counterstamp in the form of the letters EB in an oval. John Berger also used his initials in an oval. Most regulated coins are scarce or rare. So here's where we get closer to the Coinage Act. Alexander Hamilton, then Secretary of the Treasury, reported his views on monetary matters on January 21st, 1791. So one thing I would say, I'd much rather have Hamilton as Secretary of the Treasury than Janet Yellen. Anyway, he concurred in all essentials with the decimal subdivisions and multiples of the dollar contained in the earlier resolutions, and urged the use of both gold and silver in U.S. standard money. Congress passed a resolution on March 3rd, 1791, that a mint be established and authorized President Washington to engage artists and procure machinery for making of coins. No immediate steps were taken, but when Washington delivered his third annual address, he recommended immediate establishment of a mint. On April 2nd, 1792, a bill was finally passed providing that the money of account of the United States should be expressed in dollar or units, dimes or tenths, cents or hundreds, and mills or thousands. A dime or dime being the 10th part of a dollar, a cent the 100th part of a dollar, a mil the 1000th part of a dollar. The denominations specified in the act were as follows. So here is where the weights come into view here, as you can see. So we've got a gold eagle. That's a $10 gold coin. The value is 247 grains and 4/8, so 247 and a half. The standard is 270, so grains standard. That means that the coin was 270 grains, the total coin, with the alloy, right? You have the gold half eagle. That's a $5 piece. You have a quarter eagle, the silver dollar, here we go, 371 and 4/16 of pure grains, or grains pure, as you can see there. So I'll just let you freeze the video or pause the video. You can do a screenshot of the original weights of the United States currency, of all the coins. So it says here, the word pure meant unalloyed metal. So that's how much pure gold or silver were in the coins. Standard meant, in the case of gold, 11/12 fine, or 11 parts pure metal and 1 part alloy. So that's 22 karat. That's 0.9166. That's been dropped as well to 0.9. which was mixed with the pure metal to improve the wearing qualities of the coins. Yet circulating coins are never pure because they would wear very quickly. The fineness of silver coins was 1,485 over 1,664, so or approximately 892.43 thousandths. So that's 0.8924. It became, I think after 1837, 0.9, of course, the silver coins. In contrast with gold coins, fineness of 22 carats or 916 2/3 thousandths. So yeah, that's 22 carat. The law also provided for the free coinage of gold and silver coins at the fixed ratio of 15:1. So there you go, the gold-silver ratio at 15:1. And the token coinage of copper cents and half cents. Under the free coinage provision, no change was to be made for converting gold or silver bullion into coins, weight for weight. At the depositor's option, however, he could demand an immediate exchange for coins for his bullion for which privilege a deduction of 0.5% was to be imposed. So you could go to the Philadelphia Mint with, let's say, 1 kilo of silver or 50 ounces of silver and ask them to turn those into $half or dollars, or you could even ask them to turn it into a gold coin, and they would take 0.5% of that silver and they would mint the coins for you. So anyone could go to the mint and do that. President Washington appointed David Rittenhouse, a well-known scientist, as the first director of the mint. Construction began on a mint building nearly 4 months after the passage of the Act of April 2nd, 1792. The building was located on 7th Street near Arch in Philadelphia. The first coin struck by the government was the half dime, or dime, or D-I-S-M-E. So that's 1/20th of a dollar. 1,500 of these pieces were produced during the month of July 1792 before the mint was completed. Additional coins were probably made in early October. There is no historical evidence for the story that Washington donated his personal silverware for minting these coins. A few dimes were also struck at this time or a short while later. Silver and gold for coinage were to be supplied by the public, but copper for cents and half cents had to be provided by the government. This was accomplished by the Act of May 8th, 1792, when the purchase of not more than 150 tons was authorized. On September 11th, 1792, 6 pounds of old copper was purchased and probably used for the striking of patterns. Thereafter, planchets with upset rims, 4 cents and half cents, were purchased from Bolton and Watt of Birmingham, England, from 1798 to 1838. Several pattern coins were prepared in 1792 before regular mint operations commenced. Patterns are test or trial pieces, there you go, intended to show the size, form, and design of proposed coins. These included Henry Voigt's silver center cent, a piece smaller than that of regular issue. The small plug of silver worth about 3/4 of a cent was evidently intended to bring the intrinsic value of the coin up to the value of 1 cent to permit the production of a coin of more convenient size. Alexander Hamilton had mentioned a year before that the proposed intrinsic value cent would be too large and suggested that the amount of copper could be reduced and a trace of silver added. The pattern cent with a silver center may have been designed to conform to its recommendation, to this recommendation, sorry. The cents by Robert Birch are equally interesting. These patterns are identified by the legends, which read, "Liberty, parent of science and industry, and to be esteemed, be useful." The quarter of an eagle on the reverse side, designer unknown, belongs among the 1792 patterns devised before regular issues were struck. So here we go. The Bank of Maryland deposited the first silver, sending $80,715.73.5 in French coins to the mint on July 18th, 1794. Moses Brown, a Boston merchant, deposited the first gold in the form of ingots, February 12, 1795, amounting to $2,276.22, receiving silver coin in payment. So he exchanged his gold ingot for silver coins. The first coins transferred to the treasurer consisted of 11,178 cents on March 1st, 1793. The first return of coined silver was made on October 15th, 1794. The first gold coins, 744 half eagles, or $5, were delivered on July 31st, 1795. The early mint was constantly vigilant to see that the weights of these coins were standard. Overweight blank planchets were filed and adjusted prior to striking, and many of the coins made prior to 1836 show file marks and blemishes from these adjustments. So I'm going to stop there. Maybe we'll do a part 3 about the regular mint issues, which is a pretty long part. But let me know if you enjoy these videos about the origin of the dollar. Of course, this is part 2. If you haven't watched part 1, which I did on the 27th of January, I recommend you go and watch it. And so you understand a little more about the origin of the dollar. So yeah, as I said, the weight of the Morgan dollar and also the peace dollar later on, I think it was 1921, is going to be slightly less than the original weights that came out of the Act of 1792, mainly because they took some of the silver out because of the Panic of 1837 and the Panic of 1873. And it's interesting that both those panics, the Panic of 1837, some people say that that was punishment for Andrew Jackson not renewing the charter for the Second Bank of the United States. And 1873, of course, I think is the year as well where they demonetized or silver, no longer made it legal tender. Some people call it the Great Crime of 1873. So they lowered the weight of the silver coins on that date as well. And you can see all the different weights here in the different years. And that's how I figured it out. I saw that it changed because I was trying to weigh this and see that if it corresponded to that 371 and 4/16 grains of the original act, and it doesn't. And that's why. So there you go. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. Please share it far and wide. Think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't yet. And you can also follow me on Facebook, Hive, DTube, Library, and BitChute. And I am back on Twitter. I know I actually deactivated my account a few weeks ago, but I've decided to go back because there's a lot going on right now, and I need to know what's going on as well. For example, with my brokerage account, I can see their Twitter account and what they're saying, because I had a lot of problems this week trading through my brokerage account. And I'm going to talk about that tomorrow during the live stream, of course. So I wish you all a great weekend. Take care. Bye.